Welcome to part 2, the final part of this election forecast. In the first part yesterday, almost everyone here felt that this election could signal a tectonic shift, was the phrase used, in the politics of this country. Today we shall see if some very key states are also facing this tectonic shift. States like Uttar Pradesh, the biggest state with 80 seats, and the brand new phenomenon of Seemandhra and Telangana. And we shall end today with the big bang forecast for India as a whole and see if the BJP and its allies can cross, or will they fall short of, the 272 magic mark, the halfway mark, which would ensure that Narendra Modi becomes the next Prime Minister of India. Now, this is a big election, and we are using the biggest series of opinion polls and exit polls ever done, and perhaps the most rigorous methodology. Details of the methodology are available on our website, ndtv.com, but still I'd like to give a health warning. Once again, there is an error range in all opinion polls. Only this time, because of the size and the rigor, we estimate the sampling error to be plus or minus about 2%, our lowest margin ever in any sample. Now, to understand the implications and the politics of the state and all India forecast, we have the man who makes all the errors. I get them all right, Durab Supariwala. I should say the poll is not done by him, but you can take responsibility for that.
That
also.
too, yes.
We got Shekhar Gupta on the Indian Express, Siddharth Vardarajan, senior analyst who's been on our shows very often, and Sudhendra Kulkarni, who made some very, very telling points yesterday. Thanks very much, all of you, for joining us. We'll go first to our analysis of Uttar Pradesh, the big state, but let's just do a quick catch-up of what happened so far yesterday. If we look at what happened of all the states that we announced yesterday, here they are. Just a quick summary. Let's go through it. So far we've got, which one did we start with? We started with Karnataka, a big sweep for the NDA, 20 out of 28. Tamil Nadu, Jayalalitha doing very well. West Bengal, Mamata Banerjee doing well. Rajasthan, Vasundhara Raje, the BJP doing well. Delhi, Aam Aadmi Party doing well. Haryana, the NDA doing well. Maharashtra, Shiv Sena, BJP improving its tally enormously. Madhya Pradesh, Shivraj Chauhan virtually sweeping that state. Chhattisgarh, Raman Singh sweeping there. Gujarat, Narendra Modi, complete sweep, 23 out of 26. Jharkhand, even Stevens, 6 and 4 out of 14. Bihar, Nitish Kumar suffering a worse setback in his political career, according to this opinion poll. So far, we've carried forecast for 319 out of the 543 seats, of which 166 have gone to the NDA. The BJP out of that, if you can just see it, 146. The UPA, 52 out of 319. Congress, 40 out of that 52. The Alternative Front, 16. And a host of others adding up to 85. So there it is in all its clarity. So now let's move on to the state of Uttar Pradesh. It really is often called the deciding state in any election. It has got 80 out of 543 seats, almost twice as big as the second biggest state. Here it is. The forecast says BJP 40 out of 80, and we've got a huge sample of over 7,000 in this state. The BSP 15, second largest. The Samajwadi Party suffering a major setback, down 10 seats to 13. The Congress and Ajit Singh's party, 12, down 14 since last time. So 40 out of 80. And this survey was done right across the state, and as I said, a sample size of 7,000, a little more, 7,200 odd. Again, all available on our website. What about the votes? How did we get to these figures? It's a very difficult state to convert votes into seats. We found the BJP 32%, that's up 14% since the last election. The BSP 23%, down 4% since last time. Congress and Ajit Singh 17, down 4. and the Samajwadi Party 17, down 6. Now, historically, if you look at the last few elections, the Samajwadi Party tends to get more seats per vote, and the BSP tends to get less seats per vote. That's an indication of the concentration of their popularity or their power. Shekhar, 40 out of 80. Tempting for Mr. Modi to stand from this state and show that he can break a regional, no longer a regional leader, to actually prove it.
Well, I know you'd like to believe it, but I'm not quite sure that he lays such faith by your election predictions. I think he'll be very careful.
You mean he'll be disappointed with 40?
I don't think he'll trust you as his strategic or electoral strategy advisor. I think he'll be very careful.
I hope no party trusts us.
Good point, yes. So I think if he wants to contest in UP for political reasons, to make the point that he's now a mainstream national leader, so he's going to the Hindi heartland, then he will do it nevertheless. Because I'm sure his own polls are showing him better numbers than these, right? But it's a call that he has to make, because then he runs into Aam Aadmi Party. He has to face a different kind of noise. He runs into the challenge of minority vote, Samajwadi Party, BSP. It's quite possible that some of the others may combine against him, because Narendra Modi is the most polarizing figure in our politics today. And I think he's more aware of it than anybody else.
Tell me, Dorab, in terms of your votes to seats conversion, how confident are you in Uttar Pradesh in terms of, forget the poll numbers, the vote percentage is fine, that comes out of the survey, but the conversion in a four-party system,
it is messy, but historically you see that whenever a party crosses 30, that, as you rightly said, that the BSP's inability to convert votes to seats in relation to SP is known, has been repeated again and again, 4 elections running. If you need to be at least 14 or 15% ahead of the next party to get that 50. Whenever there is a 50 mark, you're way ahead of the number 2. So far, it's not way ahead of the number 2, though it's actually a good thing for the BJP is that it's way ahead of SP, which has a good conversion ratio, though not so far ahead of the BSP, which is a poor conversion ratio. But this 32 has to go to 35, 36, and the others, and the SP not go up, because the SP converts votes into seats much better.
The SP's vote is concentrated.
I would say two health warnings at this point. The BJP's own internal assessment pegs them at winning about 35 seats. Secondly, a lot of the UP voting, particularly by minorities, tends to be highly strategic. And I think as the candidates get declared, you will probably have quite a bit of churning at the constituency level. What surprises me in terms of the vote shares here, although I'm sure Dorab has a rational explanation for it, and I don't doubt the veracity of your survey. But essentially, you have a 14% decline for the 3 other parties and a 14% increase. It's almost as if the SP, the person who's leaving the SP, is going straight to the BJP, and same with the person leaving the Congress and the BSP. So I would imagine, given Muzaffarnagar, given the Congress's performance at the center, that you would have some shifting vote, for example, from the SP to BSP. Don't forget, it'll be in most seats or in many seats actually a 5-cornered contest, where the AAP in cities, Kanpur, Lucknow, etc., will probably be good for 8 to 10%, perhaps even more. So I think that the final result will be probably quite complicated. But as of now, I think it's quite a dramatic result.
In about 3 weeks from now, we will be doing another poll. So the surveys will take place over the next 3 weeks, and that will see any trend. There's one interesting point which I want to follow up from what you said. If we can get up the graphic on how the Muslims are voting, and then I'll go to Sharad Pradhan, who's in Lucknow. Let's see how the Muslims are voting according to our survey in Uttar Pradesh. Here it is. The BJP getting 8% of the Muslim vote, the BSP only 8%, Samajwadi Party 32%, and the Congress 36%. Does that come as a surprise to you? Let me get Sharad Pradhan in. Sharad Pradhan, thanks very much for joining us. We are basically seeing in this very large survey of UP, you saw the results of the overall vote and seat forecast, but in terms of the Muslim vote, which Siddharth was talking about, how is it shifting? It's basically seems to be divided between Congress and SP, and the BSP is just not picking it up.
that's rather strange. You know, the ground reality is that although there is one reason for the Muslims to be not very comfortable with BSP, considering its background, that it has aligned with the BJP 3 times, yet because Muslims are disillusioned with Mulayam, and because they don't see much hope in the Congress riding on to power at the center, there is a very strong possibility of the Muslim vote drifting in a higher number than what is being projected towards the BSP. Because they still see BSP as, wherever they'll see BSP as a strong contender against the BJP, they will definitely go for BSP.
So as Siddharth was saying, sort of tactical voting.
Tactical voting, exactly. And even you know, this 8% of the Muslims drifting towards BJP sounds a little on the higher side. Yes, it's a fact that there is a small section of the Muslims who are inclined for BJP, despite all the Gujarat riots and whatever. So, but that's a very small number. Take one more election. You know, Muslims are looking up are watching Modi and what they say. I've traveled across the state.
Right.
In particular, and they say that if...
Yes, go ahead. I think we'll just come back to you. Satellite pictures freezing a second. Just have a quick, one more division according to upper caste voters. Let's see how they're voting. This is the way upper caste voters in Uttar Pradesh said they were, who they were supporting. Here we are. Only 5% for the Samajwadi Party, 10% for the BSP, 15% for the Congress, and a huge 66% for the BJP. But Dorab, that's expected. Would you feel? But I tend to feel also that the Muslim vote is understated somehow for the BSP.
Well, you know,
8%.
One doesn't know, but it's true that many people, there's another question we aren't showing today which shows that they blame Mulayam for the Muzaffarnagar riots. In that case, one would have expected them to shift to the BSP or the Congress.
I think it will also depend on candidates, because Mayawati is known to make a very shrewd choice of candidates. Wherever she sees a chance of getting Muslim vote out of SP.
But I think once candidates are declared, I think you're right. I mean, I think that's
one important factor here, if you could just give me the politics of it, that if it's true and she finds she's only getting 8% of the Muslims, being an ally, supporting from the outside, she doesn't lose much base of
supporting
her base.
BJP also.
Supporting Modi from the outside. You know, she doesn't have a huge voter core base.
I think her eyes are on the next assembly election in Uttar Pradesh, and I think it will be fatal for her to.
Both she and Mamta looking at the next election.
She's been there before. You know, anybody who's been there, let's not forget that Naveen Patnaik, Mamta Banerjee, Nitish Kumar, they were members of Vajpayee's cabinet. Also Umar Abdullah. Right? And ADMK had members in that cabinet. So once somebody's been someplace,
but this is an important point you're raising, Shekhar. All of them say that there's a qualitative difference between Vajpayee and Modi. Is that a justifiable remark by them, or do you think it's the BJP and once you've been with them, you have been with them?
I think it is a justifiable remark to an extent, except do you trust all these people with that remark? I'm sorry, I don't.
Right.
Because I'd like to see their remarks on May 16 or May 17, 18 when bargaining and negotiation is on. Because then they'll find some justification. You can always say, but I am joining in so as to moderate Narendra Modi's behavior. So as to protect Indian secularism. You know, people have
give a stable government.
People have justified all kinds of crimes.
Let me bring in Sudhendra here.
In national interest and in the interest of secularism.
I mean, Sudhendra is a pretty large sample in Uttar Pradesh, done randomly, chosen everybody from electoral rolls. So we're not underestimating or underrepresenting the BSP or the poor. And it says 40 out of 80 seats to the BJP. And it also says that the BJP is only getting 8% of the Muslim vote. Pradhan just said that in fact 8% seems high, but you know, these are difficult things to assess. But overall, 40 out of 80 seats will go a long way towards making the BJP closer and closer to that 272 mark, right? It's an important
no doubt about it. Yeah, no doubt about it. It marks a jump from 10 seats in 2009 to 40. It's a spectacular performance by the BJP and which will propel the party to a winning position at the center. Some of the factors, in my opinion, that are pushing the BJP forward in Uttar Pradesh is the total disillusionment with the ruling party, the Samajwadi Party. It's one of the worst governed states in the country today. It has not only disillusioned Muslims, but also a section of the Yadav votes in Uttar Pradesh.
Right.
Apart from this, in western Uttar Pradesh, two upper caste parties, Gujars and Jats, which normally didn't vote together, they have come together, due to certain circumstances, arising out of Muzaffarnagar riots.
Right.
But apart from this, I think there is a very clear appeal of Modi in Uttar Pradesh. Unlike Madhya Pradesh or Rajasthan, where there are regional leaders who are the pillars of the party, right. It's not so in Uttar Pradesh. So if the BJP is going to get anywhere close to 40, a major contribution is certainly that of Narendra Modi.
Right. One question we did ask everybody, and the answer tends to support what you said. Most people said it's not Akhilesh running this state, it's his uncles that are actually acting as chief ministers. Sharad Pradhan, just coming back to, sorry, we lost you for a moment. Sudhindra says that this disillusionment with the ruling government in Uttar Pradesh is a major factor for the switch away, and I guess they haven't gone to the Congress and the BSP hasn't recovered yet. But I think what everybody is questioning is, okay, you leave the Samajwadi Party, do you go to the BSP or do you go to the BJP? That is that's a dilemma that the voters are facing.
Well, as far that is where polarization will be in favor of Modi. There's a very strong. I fully agree with what Sudhir Kulkarni mentioned just now, that there is total disillusionment of the people, common masses, with the Mulayam. I call it Mulayam government. It is more than the uncles. It is the father who is doing the backseat driving. Well, the vote is drifting more towards BJP for two reasons. One is that Modi has been, it is actually not BJP, it is Modi, it is totally Modi centric. You ask anybody on the streets, they say they are voting for Modi, they don't talk about BJP. So, and because UP, there is a crisis of leadership in the BJP, Modi is seen, every candidate of the BJP will be seen as a Modi contesting somewhere. And Modi, because he has been conducting his rallies in a fashion where he has been able to project himself as a balanced, moderate BJP leader, he avoids, he systematically makes it a point not to make any mention of any controversial issues, whether it is Ayodhya, Varanasi or Mathura or anything. As a matter of fact, in Agra, when these two chaps accused of the rioting in Muzaffarnagar were brought there for felicitation, Modi stayed back at the airport and came in late because he was waiting. I was told by a cop there that he came in late. So he said that he is staying there. He wants these people to be out of the scene. And after these two chaps were quickly garlanded and taken away from there, Modi arrived there. So this is what is being seen by, his traditional Hindutva voter is already there. He knows it. The edge that he is getting is because he is being able to address and win over the moderate Hindu, who is not interested, who is not influenced by the Hindutva line, which is what is making a lot of difference. And in that, there is a lot of youth.
Yeah, very interesting.
There is a lot of youth which is
in the
going
survey,
for Modi.
This change away from Hindutva to getting the more moderate Hindu vote?
Well, if you look at, we don't exactly know because we didn't ask about Hindutva, but the question, the shift you see suggests, for the caste shift you see, it suggests that, there is a movement towards him across all castes. For the first time, there's Kalyan Singh, there is Lalji Tandon, there is Kalraj Mishra, there is Uma Bharti. Here is one pan leader coming there. So obviously he's tending to unite people from all factions and pull them towards the BJP.
One caveat maybe though, yes, that I think there's been a certain foregrounding of the OBC factor in the BJP's campaign, in the Modi campaign.
Right.
And in the context of the controversy over the Banaras seat and the perceived slight to Dr. Murli Manohar Joshi, who's regarded as the tallest leader of the Uttar Pradesh Brahmins. To what extent will this, I think it's early days yet, and I still don't know how the BJP will play its cards on this, but certainly the Congress is looking to exploit this in a big way and to somehow paint the BJP as slighting
So what's
Brahmin,
your guess in
voters.
the end? Who will fight from Banaras?
You are
You don't have
predicting
to
everything,
guess.
not I. You don't have to guess. But I can say one thing, that I do not believe in today's mood and environment, Siddharth, let me disagree with you. I do not believe that Brahmins of UP will punish the BJP for denying the seat.
No, I'm saying that's something the Congress is trying to exploit. Yeah,
I think Congress can try and exploit other things like, like Modi's politics, right? That should work well with at least some of Congress party's targeted voters.
Yeah.
But to expect that Brahmins of UP will dump Modi.
It's probably just an inner party.
I don't think it will happen, but I'm saying that you see in the papers and in interacting with some leaders,
Dr. Joshi,
a concerted effort to try to promote that.
but Dr. Joshi,
thought,
Dr. Joshi is no Vajpayee, and frankly, nobody sees him as a great Brahmin leader.
He's
He just
also
happens
highly
to be a
unpopular
Brahmin.
among BJP workers in Banaras.
Very true.
But also you need Mr. Modi to pull the coattails. If it stands from UP, it pulls. I mean, it gives. There are some coattails that he has.
In this election, Mr. Modi is the first among the Brahmins for BJP's voters.
Right. Okay, let's move on. Sharad Pradhan, thank you very much for joining us. Excellent insights there, and we'll be meeting you again on the campaign trail and picking your brains. Thanks very much for joining us. Let's move on now to Punjab. The Punjab. What's happening there? Let's have a look. First, straight news on the nose, the seat forecast for Punjab. This is what it looks like. 13 seats in that state. Congress 8 out of the 13, same as last time. The BJP plus the Akali Dal 5. It's actually a replay of the last election, despite the assembly elections coming in between where the Akalis won.
But marginally, everything is in Punjab is very marginal. 2%, 1%.
You're right.
Very
In Punjab, the Akalis won with a small vote, but their
tight.
seats
10 or
were
15.
much
That's
more.
right. That's
So it was like a exaggeration of seats compared
Because
to votes.
Manpreet Badal took away some of the vote, which
Very
if added
small,
to, say, Congress tally would have turned the election.
Could have turned it.
In
Yeah.
some seats, I think, but it went. I think the effect
Yeah.
went beyond that.
Right. It wasn't a.
But tell me, Prannoy, UP, did you get an estimate for Aam Aadmi Party's votes in UP?
Yes, not yet significant, but not too bad. I think in the end, about 5%.
I haven't got that.
Not too bad. I mean, see, don't forget, this poll was done 3 weeks ago. So,
Also, 70% of our sample
hardly
is
started
rural.
yet. They were still in the throes of getting out of the Delhi government. The focus was not on all India.
You know, one of the interesting factors, just to come back to UP for a second, is that given the direction the Aam Aadmi Party's campaign has taken now, where they're targeting Modi more and more and the BJP more and more. My sense is that in a place like Uttar Pradesh, unlike say in Delhi, where the Aam Aadmi Party clearly has cost the BJP seats by taking away a share of the anti-Congress vote, in UP, it's quite possible that they would damage the Congress more than they would damage anybody else.
Because even if they take away 5% of the Muslim vote,
I mean, if it's 5% of the committed anti-Modi vote,
it
that
really
comes to
helps
you.
the BJP.
We did see quite a few quite a high percent of Muslim votes going to the Aam Aadmi Party. That's absolutely right, actually. Let's just have a look at the votes in Punjab, and we asked everybody there, what is your biggest problem? And let's see what they said in answer to that. Here are the votes. Congress 41%, still a swing away, but enough to hold on to its seats. And the BJP plus Akali Dal 4%. Now look at the Aam Aadmi Party here, 9%. This is probably one of the largest, apart from Delhi, of course. They've had a significant impact here, more so than even Haryana at the moment. And early days, in fact, as I said, 3 weeks ago. So interesting, but because they've taken equally from both, the seat distribution hasn't changed, and they haven't reached a threshold where they can actually win seats. And finally, what are the biggest problems that the voters feel in Punjab? They all said drugs and cancer from pesticides. These are the top of the mind for the average farmer. 70% of the survey is in the rural areas. And alcoholism. Smashed at sunset. We did a series called Smashed at Sunset. And Punjab, after sunset,
it also tells you that this is really a well-fed state. The state has no poverty, and I think the state is really a victim of laziness that success has bred over the past 15-20 years.
And excess in terms of pesticides and irresponsible agricultural practices. It's really...
But you've always secretly wished that this was your home state, not Bengal.
It is not wished, secretly, openly.
The only thing I do well in life is the Bhangra. So, you know, nobody else appreciates it.
For a Bong to do Bhangra, it has to be very creative.
So, Dhendra, a repeat of last time's election in Punjab. Is that what you had expected, given that you had that intervening assembly election where for the first time it wasn't a revolving door, the same government came back?
Yeah, it is a repeat partly due to the fact that the BJP is not a very united party in Punjab. In fact, there is a growing demand that from Amritsar, Arun Jaitley should contest.
Right.
So,
they also didn't do very well in the assembly. Compared to Akalis, the BJP did much worse, yes. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
In fact, the Akalis got more Hindus elected than BJP or Congress.
Right.
I want to make a comment on the social problem that you highlighted just now.
Yes.
The fact that the major problem in Punjab is recognized as drug abuse.
Right.
A friend of mine, a Punjabi friend of mine said that if this continues, he really put it in very cataclysmic terms, that no future for Punjab. This is something which Rahul Gandhi has highlighted in some of his early speeches. But this is a problem that all parties and all sections of society in Punjab have to tackle together. It's disaster for Punjab if this continues.
I mean, it's that bad. He said no future for this state.
No future for Punjab if drug abuse continues, especially among the youth.
Right. Okay, we're going to quickly move on to another couple of not so large states and then move on to Simandra and Telangana, which are fascinating elections. Let's go on to Assam, highly charged state, and the seats forecast for this state is Congress and its allies 13 out of the 14 seats. BJP will lose all its 4 seats, the AJP none, and others 1. And what's the votes forecast? Let's have a look at that now. Congress 36%, BJP 18%, and the AJP 13%. And you can't show the swing because the allies have changed so much that these are the levels and not the swing. So Dorab, 36% and virtually sweeping every seat in the state.
Once upon a time, the AJP and BJP were allies. When you're not 1 to 2, there's not that much of a chance to get very many seats, and I think that's what's happening. Don't hang
you're
together.
Talking about my home state. This is your home state.
That's right.
But at least my home state gives a clear decision. One way or the other.
So does his home state.
At least Assamese are less confused than Punjabis.
Never.
40 and 41. What kind of verdict is that for Punjabis?
No, but is this a kind of revival for the Congress, or do you feel it's just the arithmetic of elections? It's got a divided opposition.
No, leadership has risen to challenge the Congress. The fact is that people of Assam, those who supported the AGP, Brahmaputra Valley population, they are so disillusioned with them that they treat them almost with as much disdain as people in Bengal treat the left. So AGP has lost elections maybe for 3 times because most of its leadership is gone. Some unfortunately died prematurely, people like Bhugufukan, but they split. Many of them became very corrupt. In fact, I have known most of them as student leaders, and I tell them sometimes that all of us lose some idealism as we grow older. When I was a reporter, I never saw an Assam students leader having 2 rupees in his pocket to pay for my lunch at his hostel mess. Today, so many of them have farmhouses around Delhi. And so they asked me, how have you lost some idealism? I said, yes, when I traveled in Assam, I drank water from any pond that I came across. Now I don't leave home without my Bisleri or whatever else. Yes. So the disappointment with this movement in Assam and the alliances they made later with the left, just the cynicism and the failure of Prafulla Mahanta to live up to the promise that they had generated.
Right.
It's left people very disappointed. I think it will take somebody a great deal of doing to defeat the Congress.
I think apart from
I
was saying apart from the disenchantment, or shall we say long-term implosion of the AGP, the BJP's performance is interesting to watch and analyze. I mean, this is one state where actually, if Modi's been quite guarded in his rhetoric in Uttar Pradesh, in Assam, the speech that I saw, kind of borderline problematic in terms of some of the imagery that he invoked, speaking about how India has a responsibility towards only Hindu refugees, even if they come from Mauritius or America, we have to accommodate them. No word about what happens if a Muslim from Indian Muslim from America wants to come back.
But he's got his politics wrong in Assam.
No, that's true.
Because he doesn't know Assam. For the people of Assam who are worried about illegal migration, they are as worried about Hindus migrating illegally as Muslims. So they don't see it as an Islamic
But the way that, I mean, the rhetoric that he chose has clearly cut very little ice. And I don't know if it's early days, maybe this will reflect, but
What's the sorry?
He's won election 3 times to the assembly. No? I mean, the chief minister isn't some spring chicken. We talk about, Mr. Sivraj Chauhan and Narendra Modi. He also has won his election 3 times running. So he's got some fuel there going for him.
And the still very popular.
The big division of identity in Assam is language. It's not so much religion. It is Assamese and Bengali, because a lot of the immigrants from Bangladesh are
But Sudhendra, one thing that puzzles me about Assam and the BJP is that BJP, if I've looked historically, I've always said it's a smart election and a strategic party. It knows how to use the arithmetic, it goes into alliances which many others don't do. How come it didn't fight for an alliance here?
First of all, I would say that the BJP is not likely to do as badly in Assam as your projection shows.
Right.
But the basic problem of the BJP is utter lack of leadership and a divided party. It's so acute that they had to make an AGP leader, Sarbanand Sonowal, their party president in Assam.
Right.
The AGP has imploded, but the BJP is not coming up because there simply is no leadership.
Yeah.
The BJP does not have a message for Assam. BJP is trying to view Assam in Hindu-Muslim terms. That tells you they don't understand Assam, and I can
take... So, very interesting point. And you say the language divisions and other divisions are much more.
Economics. Right. You see, after all, migrants who come from Bangladesh, they take away opportunity of Assamese people. Assamese people are not the most pushy. They are cool like you and me. Right? So, these people come in, they are available as cheap labor, or they've been available as cheap labor over the years. They've used riverine lands. And this then becomes political power because they also vote. So, this is a very complicated thing, and you've seen this right through. Even when the Assam movement was on, even when the killings of 1983 took place, you found the BJP-RSS lot, they saw it in Hindu-Muslim terms. I have seen with my eyes mobs of Assamese people, Assamese-speaking people in the election of 1983, consisting of Hindus and Muslims. But attacking Hindu villages because they happen to be Bengali migrants' villages.
Why didn't the BJP fight for the alliance? Yeah, enough. Or
I think, frankly, I'm not sure BJP is yet capable. I think they've begun to look at the south, etc. a little bit. But I don't think they've still been able to look beyond Siliguri, east of Siliguri. Because when they look east of Siliguri, they see China. They see China, they think of Arunachal Pradesh. Then they want to defend Arunachal Pradesh.
Okay, let's go a little less
from the
east.
Chinese. Between Siliguri and the Chinese, there are lots of Indians.
I think the long term, this BJP would be looking to supplant AGP, because AGP really, based on the current run, it's not something that BJP, and the very fact that you got Mr. Sonowal to head the party, that tells you what they plan to do.
AGP has given leaders to every party. Mr. Bharat Nora, who used to be the vice president of the AGP, and it's tribal star of, not AGP, ASU before that, minister, his wife is in the Congress party. So,
okay, now we'll go on to a state which is not quite so far east.
AGP has got fully Congressized.
It's west of Siliguri, and let's have a look at the remarkable state of Orissa. Again, we did a fairly large sample in this state. It's got 21 seats, moderately sized, and the BJD, Naveen Patnaik's BJD, 17 out of that 21. That's up 3 since last time. The Congress, just 3, losing half its seats there, and the BJP just holding on to 1 seat. So it's another sweep after all these years once again for Naveen Patnaik. Let's have a look at the vote forecast in Orissa. This is the raw data from the poll. The BJP 40%, a swing in favor of 3%. The Congress, all of it, all that tree has come from the Congress. The BJP 17 holding its position almost exactly the same as last time with a 0% swing. Sudhendra, if I could ask you about, has this been a tactical error for the BJP as well? Not hanging on, somehow working with Naveen Patnaik?
Yeah, you know, the error didn't take place now. It actually took place in 2009.
Yes.
Between 2004 and 2009, the relations between the BJP and the BJD grew bad to worse. It was one of the worst alliance management or mismanagement episodes. But we should also give credit to Naveen Patnaik, you know, first of all his governance and his charismatic leadership, you know, which is actually going from height to height, and so much so that, you know, in the past few weeks and months, there is a desertion from the Congress to the BJD. Even the leader of the opposition, Congress, Bhupinder Singh, left the Congress and joined the BJD.
Right.
So the writing is very clear on the wall. It's going to be a disaster for the Congress and gain for the BJD, but without the BJP gaining anything in Odisha.
Exactly.
And of course, the state will go to the assembly elections will be held. So I think the two effects are going to be merged. But I think, you know, for the BJP, I think they would be quite satisfied with BJD doing even better than they did the last time, because the BJP is not a factor here. Given the kind of economic policies that Mr. Modi intends to pursue, what are the chances of the BJD taking a strident stand against the central government in the Lok Sabha? I don't think it's very high. So in a way, even though the BJP will not win any seats, you can virtually subtract the BJD's total from 543 and pitch your halfway mark.
They're unlikely. He's made it clear that he won't support.
He won't support
even from the outside, but he will not be.
I mean, if there's a vote of confidence on let's say an issue where Modi wants to push FDI and insurance, say, or something of that kind, I doubt very much that BJD would go against.
Will actually go. We've got Prafulla Das. Yeah, please go ahead.
I'll make 2 quick points.
Yeah.
One, that this again tells you, if it needs underlining. It is again underlined that to fight a strong leader, you need strong leaders. Who's the Congress party's leader in Odisha? Who's the BJP's leader in Odisha? You can take a quiz in your newsroom. Yeah. You'll be not disappointed by the result, which is that nobody will know. Right. So you need.
So very good point.
You need to create leaders. The second thing, I agree with Siddharth, and I will quote a personal conversation with Naveen Patnaik once. I tried to reach him once, and I was told that he switches off his phone at 8 o'clock. Not mobile, his landline phone, and after that, if there's an emergency, his chief secretary can wake him up. So next day, I sort of complained to him, I said, what is this? You're the chief minister of a state, you switch off your phone at 8 o'clock. He said, no, it used to be in the past. Now, ever since this young fellow came to Niamgiri and drove 50,000 of my tribals out of their jobs and living, I've made it 7 o'clock. Because he's won me my next election. So at least you've got to give it to him for good political sense and also a sense of humor.
Let's Prafulla Das, thanks very much for joining us. I think we're all trying to understand the magic of Naveen Patnaik. If you explain how he does this again and again and again. And he wasn't a politician for so much of his life, but now he's one of the great leaders of India, regional leaders. Explain to us what.
It's mainly because Congress has failed to. So it is Naveen Patnaik continues to be the supreme leader in Orissa primarily because the Congress has failed to put its house in order during the past at least 1 or 2 years. There is a vacuum. There is a severe vacuum in the opposition camp. That is why Naveen Patnaik is shining and his popularity seems to be growing rather instead of declining. So,
right. Is there also something to do with the DNA?
maybe like he has so many royal like members from all royal families are in his party now, and it like a few months ago, it was appearing like Congress was gaining strength, but just a change of leadership in the party's state unit, everything has gone haywire, and there is sheer anarchy in the main opposition camp. And that is why it's not Naveen Patnaik who is attracting the crowd, and the people are leaving Congress and joining his party. Almost, it sounds unbelievable but true.
So,
Biju Janata Dal has received more than 50,000 applications for party tickets, sir.
No, by DNA I meant his father, but I leave that aside. If they're leaving the Congress, why are they not going to the BJP?
Yes, sir, it is virtually his father. It's virtually he has replaced his father. It's the DNA in the sense, I got your point, but it is still, we feel that Biju Patnaik is still running Odisha because the name Biju, Naveen is thriving on his father's dreams and blaming the center for all his failures. And
so why is the
demanding special category status?
Right. And just last question, that I understand you're saying is mainly an anti-Congress vote. The swing is, but why isn't that anti-Congress vote going to the BJP in Orissa? Why is it only going to the BJD?
So BJP was never a craze, like till 2000 BJP had gained some strength, but once they remained with BJD for 9 years, the party organizations was lost virtually. Now they're building back, they're strengthening their party only now, and as per this survey, your survey shows the BJP in the coming polls might play a role which could help Congress by default. BJD may lose, may get more than less than 15 seats that it had got in the last elections, only because the BJP is likely to gain because of the so-called Modi wave.
Right. Thanks very much, Prafullah Das.
Affect BJD's prospects in some way.
One, you can always trust the royals to go to the winning side. So in fact, you don't have to hold a poll. You have to see which party are the royals going to, because they figure it out. The second thing is, the people of Odisha are still voting against JB Patnaik. It's like people of Bengal are voting against the left, because they were treated so, they were treated so badly, and they're so grateful he's not there. And also, in the past 5 years, Congress party has acquired in Odisha an anti-Odisha image. It's as if Congress party tried to stop all modernization, all industrialization, every opportunity in Odisha just because it wasn't ruled by their party. And every time Congress party leaders go out and say, we send so much money to your state, nothing happens, people get angry with them.
Also, Mr. Mahapatra tried to break away from Naveen Patnaik, and one thought there could be the start of something there. But I think he fizzled out. I mean, he just hasn't the political heft to join anybody and make a difference. In fact, the BJP was trying to tie up with him until a few weeks ago.
Now, I would be wary of, again, to disagree slightly with Shekhar, I'd be wary of
that's the reason you and I are here.
No, in the sense, as to whether the people, for example, some of the economic decisions that hinge on environmental considerations or tribal rights, these are consistent with Indian law. It's very difficult for, so Naveen Patnaik may not like them. But if that's the law, that's what the residents there decide. And
but one of those was stated by Rahul Gandhi before the law was invoked. It was announced by him before the law was invoked.
No, before we move on to Simandra and Telangana, which is a fascinating story, we just do one diversion on an all-India picture about women's safety. So we asked women across the country, and this is a huge survey, how many of you, do you feel safe? And it's literally half the women in this country feel safe, and half the women in this country say that every day they wake up, they don't feel safe.
And is there a geographical split there?
No, we have the
urban,
top...
rural at least? Is there urban-rural?
We have the top 5 best states and the top 5 worst states where women, their perception, it may not be reality in terms of the actual percentage of crime, but the best states where women feel safe, Orissa, Punjab, Chhattisgarh, Bihar and Gujarat. These are the 5 states where the women say they feel safest. I haven't tallied this with the actual figures. And which are the worst 5 states? And there's one major surprise for me, so I'm not sure.
Don't tell me it's Bengal.
Delhi 46% is the 5th. Simandra, women feel unsafe. Uttar Pradesh, they feel unsafe.
Kerala would be.
West, yes. You're not surprised?
No, I'm not surprised. Kerala is a terrible place for women. The complaints of sexual harassment, molestation. It's a very sexist. Yeah, I mean, when I was editing the Hindu and visiting Kerala for those 2 years, I mean, even it took me by surprise, quite frankly.
Because better reporting. They report this more, or is
no?
I
mean, it's the women. For example, you would hire a young reporter, a Malayali reporter out of Asian College of Journalism, and she would say, "I don't want to work in Kerala."
Wow.
The feelings are that strong. The sense in which women are insecure in that state. It's really something quite shocking.
My God. But Sudhindra, to have a country where 50% of the women say they wake up every day and they feel unsafe, and we had a lot of other questions which we can't show, they will be on our website, about various aspects of their fear. It is a shocking picture.
It's certainly a shocking picture, but there isn't anything new about it.
Right.
This was always the case, but the issue has become more visible because of the recent incidents and the outrage that these incidents have created.
Do you think the outrage is having any impact? Do you think that anything is being done?
No. I think this outrage is very important. The legislative action that it has resulted in is important, and in the years to come, we certainly will see more and more protests as well as constructive action. I think this in some way, these very unfortunate and criminal incidents have done good. The society has awakened now.
Right, Dorab, how would you interrelate this kind of attitude with voting behavior? Does it, the more unsafe, go against the ruling party? Or?
I don't think there's anything to suggest there at all. I mean, we've looked at people who feel unsafe. I don't think, I just don't think there's any correlation at all.
Right.
Probably, as Siddharth said, it's over the years, and I mean, there is a revolving door in Kerala.
Is this going to change over time? Is this going to carry on 10 years from now? We'll still get 50-50?
No, this will change as more women come into the workplace as equals. That is what will change it. Even what you've seen lately, 3 young women have come out and made complaints against very powerful bosses, 2 judges and 1 former editor owner. Right? These 3, I think, have in their own ways, they may be right or wrong, allegations will be judged by courts, but these 3 women have contributed to changing the modern workplace for Indian women. And I think you have to wait for this process to get more energy. Growth of middle classes, our need for more women in workplaces, simply because they are more skilled than men in many cases. Look at your newsroom or mine. Now, a majority of the people we hire are women. Unless we give them a good, secure environment for working, we will not get them.
And I think also the backward attitudes. I think Shekhar is right. I think women need to, the more present they are, but especially in politics, where this is one of the things I wish this government had been able to push through is the Women's Reservation Bill. But if you look at attitudes among politicians, attitudes among police officers, remember Dinesh Reddy, the former DGP of Andhra Pradesh, who spoke utter nonsense after the Delhi incident. And that virtually every senior police officer who went public at that time made an ass of himself, and number of politicians, the painted, dented comment and so on. So I think that there's something that our political class and the bureaucratic establishment also has to introspect about.
Right. I do want to move on to Simandra and Telangana, because it's such a fascinating election and it's so different, and the alliances are still being created. Just let's start with Simandra and just have a look at what the poll says about the seat forecast. Remember, there were 42 seats in the whole of Andhra Pradesh, 25 in the larger part, Simandra. What do the polls say about the prospects of the parties in Simandra? But I think first we'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll look at the amazing puzzle that Simandra and Telangana actually work out to in this election, and a lot of uncertainties and a lot of alliances are going to change And as Siddharth was saying earlier, there's still a long time to go and things are going to be hotting up. And Simandra and Telangana are going to be examples of change over the next month or so. That's in a moment from now. See you then. Well, let's go straight into the fascinating political scene that's unfolding in Simandra and Telangana. Let's have a look straight away at what the forecasts are for Simandra. Remember, it's a bigger half or bigger 3/4 of Andhra Pradesh. In fact, it's got 25 out of the old 42 seats. Let's see what the poll forecasts say for the seats in Simandra. How is it going to be divided? YSR 15 out of 25. His party didn't exist last time, broke away, the Congress expelled him, and he's done extremely well. The TDP, Telugu Desam party of Chandrababu Naidu, plus the BJP, they more or less formed an alliance now, is going to get 9 seats. That's up 5 since last time. And the Congress decimated in this part, but that is to be expected because the Congress was fairly instrumental in the creation of Telangana, and that's upset a lot of people in Simandra. Let's have a look how that shows itself up in votes, percentage votes, the raw figures from the poll. YSR 43%, BJP plus the Telugu Desam 37%, and the Congress down to 14%. Jagan Reddy really is taking this state by storm without any allies, and the TDP has gained by its alliance, but how much has it really gained by that alliance? Strangely, and it's a contradiction, that where the TDP is strong, that's in Simandra, the BJP is not strong. In fact, the BJP is reasonably strong in Telangana. So let's have a look. Look at the it hasn't really gained that much. In Simandra, TDP 34%, the BJP in that area has only 3%. So really they've not gained much. It's not a very positive, not an alliance with multiplied seats.
There's none at all. There's no benefit at all in tying up with the BJP. A 3% contribution when the top guy is 43% is not going to get you any seats. Absolutely.
But on the other hand, where the BJP is strong, 15% in Telangana, the TDP is not strong, only 8%. So again, they are.
So neither is adding to the other's benefit. They are both giving some amount. In fact, it's a lose-lose situation.
So if you look now on the right-hand side of the screen, the alliance TDP plus BJP in Simandra, there's no gain. They are getting 9% without an alliance. They get 9% with an alliance.
9 seats.
9 seats with an alliance. And in Telangana, 1 seat gain. It's just not a matching.
And I think that's also because the BJP brings very few votes to the table.
It brings quite a few in Telangana. It's got 15%.
Where it doesn't matter.
One caveat
it doesn't matter.
For the Simandra at least is that I presume this poll was conducted before before Kiran Reddy's before announcing the Jai Samaikya. Now that's going to change things. I mean, in the sense that it will probably eat into some of, I presume, TDP's votes, because I think those who are with YSR are going to remain with YSR. They will not be seduced by Kiran Reddy's late batting for the Simandra cause.
Right. And if we just have a look at Telangana, if we got the seats forecast for Telangana, remember out of the 42 seats, 25 in Simandra and 17 in Telangana, fairly big. And the TRS, 11 out of the 17. The Congress doing reasonably well here, 5, of course down 7 since last time because it's a totally different situation. It swept Andhra Pradesh last time, and others won. And let's see how that converts into votes. This is the relative popularity of the 3 major parties. TRS 33, Congress 27, pretty close.
Despite everything,
And the BJP 15, because even the BJP is seen to be somewhat instrumental, at least back Telangana.
The first party to back, national party to back Telangana.
which is why TRS is talking to the BJP now, and that's going to be...
But you know, I think Mr. Naidu is tied up with the TD because I think probably Mr. Chandrababu Naidu is more reliable. He's an ex-ally in the longer term. You know, Mr. KCR is very much more fungible, as Shekhar would put it, than is
Sudhendra, I wanted to ask you, in the politics of Andhra Pradesh now, which is now becoming two states.
All three parties are fungible in Andhra.
Right. I just wanted to ask you, can you have a different ally in Simandra and a different ally in Telangana?
You know, the two states are now different. So, obviously, the alliance strategy would be different. We should remember here that in Andhra Pradesh this time, the Lok Sabha and the Vidhan Sabha elections are going to take place simultaneously.
Yes, yes.
So, the regional parties would be even more focused on coming to power in their respective states after the formation of Telangana as a separate state. Now, as a result, what's happening is that in Simandra, a lot of Congress workers are shifting to TDP and TDP is gaining in strength. In Telangana, the TDP workers are shifting to TRS, which is strengthening the TRS in Telangana.
Right.
Now, the real loser in all this is actually first the BJP and secondly the Congress. You know, there was a time in 1998, the BJP on its own had secured 18% of the total votes, which at that time was more than the performance of the BJP in Karnataka. In the southern states, Andhra Pradesh was the hope for the BJP, but it has come down very precipitously and it's losing both in Simandra and in Telangana in spite of being one of the first parties to support Telangana.
Right, right.
The Congress has really messed up in the way it announced and got Telangana into being. It could have been handled in a much more adroit and a responsible manner. It has hurt itself in Simandra without gaining much in Telangana because now there is no alliance between TRS and the Congress in Telangana.
Of course,
but
if the TRS and Congress... Sorry, go ahead.
But after the election, after the assembly elections, you know, these two parties might come together to form a coalition government.
Right. But of course, the interesting thing is if both of them do form an alliance, 33% plus 27%, they will just sweep both the assembly.
Because the second party is much weak, very weak.
Right, right.
You know, the difference will be very large.
Okay.
You're talking about an alliance of TRS and BJP, a pre-poll alliance?
Congress he was talking about.
Okay, Congress.
If they actually fought together rather than doing a post-poll alliance, they'll just sweep Telangana.
But I think the logic I gave for BJD, I think, you know, for the BJP or whichever party rules the center, you have two states that are new, Simandra and Telangana. Right. They will want to have good relations with whichever government is in power in Delhi. So I think that, you know, the BJP, even if it has a formal alliance with the TDP and the TRS, can expect a reasonably cozy relationship with Jagan Congress.
But I think I feel safe to make one prediction that whoever sets up the coalition in Delhi, two of these three parties, YSR, Congress, TDP and KCR, two of these three parties will be aligned with the government in the center. Whether they join it or not, I don't know, but they will be aligned.
They will be aligned. Well, they probably have some ministerial posts and probably join it. We got K. Nageshwar joining us from Hyderabad. Explain to us, Nageshwar, what is the politics of alliances here? Can Telangana have a totally different alliance to an alliance in Simandra? Because the strengths are so dramatically different in what people bring to the table.
Now, Prannoy, the first point is the political situation is quite different. And secondly, the party position and party strengths and weaknesses are quite different. So you cannot have a similar kind of alliances when these two distinct differences exist on ground. So in Telangana, the Congress and TRS is the only possibility for alliance. But the TRS leadership is increasingly getting convinced that whether or not there is an alliance with the Congress, they are not going to get more seats. So whatever they are getting now, they will continue to get even without alliance also or with alliance. So they do not want to subscribe to a UPA at this point of time and leave an option tomorrow after the elections. So that's the kind of game which TRS is playing. So in case if the Congress and TRS ties up, which cannot be ruled out even now, in case if Sonia Gandhi intervenes, so it will be a very clean sweep because of a serious vacuum in opposition politics. What our analyst has said in relation to Orissa, is applied to Telangana also, because Telugudesam is though traditionally strong, but in fact got decimated after its ambivalent stand on Telangana.
Very interesting. We have a graphic here which says that whoever the TRS goes with, it won't change things too much, because the TRS itself is so strong that when it goes with either the Congress or the BJP, it still gets 11 or 12 seats, and it's a marginal change. If the TRS switches from the Congress to the BJP, first of all, if it's with the Congress, they win 15 out of the 17 seats, and the BJP plus TJP won. If the TRS goes with the BJP, it's 12 and 2. So it's like 14 seats and 15 seats, and the Congress goes down from 4 to 2. It's not a dramatic change, because one party is so strong that whoever it allies with will tend to win most of the seats.
Yeah, because the difference in the first and the second party is so large, and if that difference increases, it's going to be a swing. Of course, the assembly we haven't done, but that will be much more interesting, I think.
But my sense is that the fact that the assembly elections are being held for these new states at the same time will probably harden the attitude of the TRS. Would obviously like to go it alone and then handle things afterwards.
Right. I think we'll just one last comment from you, Nageshwar, in terms of what's in Seemandhra. Why has the TDP decided to go with the BJP? Because the BJP in Seemandhra is not strong at all. It's got under 3% of the vote. It's not giving Chandrababu Naidu much. Is it with one eye on the post-election situation? What's the logic? What are the politics behind it?
And Prannoy, the interesting part is that TDP leadership is not interested to have an alliance with BJP in Seemandhra, whereas the BJP leadership in Telangana is not interested in a tie-up with Telugudesam party. But still, it's a buy one get one situation. You cannot have both at a time. So TDP is perhaps looking for a longer relationship with the BJP. In fact, they are reconciled to the fact that they will have a post-poll alliance with the BJP, even if there is no pre-poll alliance. But the Telugudesam party has toyed with the idea of joining hands with the BJP much before the bifurcation episode has come to the fore. So they were thinking that the Modi sympathy will help them. But the way the BJP has played in its role in parliament has really irked the TDP, because the people of Seemandhra are totally disillusioned with the role of BJP. In fact, the Telangana people are skeptical of BJP, and Seemandhra people are disillusioned with BJP. That's the reason why TDP is not benefiting because of an alliance with the BJP, either in Seemandhra or Telangana, at least in the pre-poll scenario.
I mean, very interesting, buy one, get one free. So if the TDP is gaining just 3% votes from the alliance in Seemandhra with the BJP, are they hoping to get even one seat from Telangana by allying with the BJP? Because BJP is fairly, I mean, it's got 15% of the vote in Telangana.
No, Prannoy, another interesting point here is you are only adding up the figures, but you know very well the politics is not arithmetic. Politics is chemistry. It is not the percentage 34 plus 3 will become 37. The ground reality is that in case the BJP has a tie-up with Telugudesam party, I don't think the more than 50% of the BJP vote will shift to TDP. But if TDP is in a vote, 70% will shift to BJP. So that the BJP is going to benefit a little more from alliance with TDP, but not the TDP. The reason is in Telangana, the BJP cadre are totally against TDP. They are worried about because of the alliance with TDP, because TDP is increasingly seen as a non-Telangana, anti-Telangana party. So in Seemandhra, the Telugudesam party cadre are not so curious.
I think you've got it very clear in your head, and I hope all of our viewers followed everything you said, because it is a fascinating political puzzle. We are now joined by N. Ram from Chennai. Ram, thank you very much. Now that you've joined us, I just wanted to quickly go through what's happened so far, just so you can see the overall national figure. If we look at the poll forecast seat-wise for each state, this is what it's looking like so far. Uttar Pradesh, 40 out of 80 for the NDA. Punjab, Congress leads with 8 out of 13. Assam, the Congress doing very well, 13 out of 14. Odisha, 17 for the BJD. Seemandhra, 15 for, as we were just saying, the Telugu Desam, and for YRS. YSR and Telangana, both the Congress and the TRS doing well. So far, Ram, we're seeing we've covered 489. We still have one more state where we did a poll. That's Kerala, which will come next. Of that 489, the BJP is up to 221. We haven't done polls in many of the northeastern states, Daman and Diu and Goa, and in fact, which we have to rectify in the next one, even Uttarakhand and Himachal. But we have looked at the most recent by-election results and the assembly results and the last time's results and tried to project for that for those smaller states. But overall, this picture of the NDA being 221 compared to just 94 for the UPA, it's not quite there, it's not yet 50%, but it'll be looking for allies. Overall, do you think the BJP would be pleased with this kind of situation or not? Ram?
With what we know, but I think the BJP is going to face Narendra Modi-led BJP is going to face what may be called a last mile problem to connect to that magic number of 272. I think it may do it, but it's a big ask. And the closer it gets, the tougher it becomes, because each seat will carry a premium so far as the government formation is concerned. And I think the setback for the NDA in Andhra Pradesh, compared to, I mean, setback in the sense they could have done better, I think would prove quite costly. So while they come close enough, it's not where the UPA was in 2009, for example, when they got 262. That's pretty close,
for the
and
Congress,
they just needed a few more.
Yeah. Right.
So I think Modi is going to face a last mile challenge, and I think they'll be feeling pretty nervous at the moment, I think.
Right, right. We shall just quickly go into Kerala and then get to that overall picture with the final forecast numbers for the whole 2014 Lok Sabha. Just let's have a look at the situation in Kerala. Kerala is a very, very difficult state to forecast because the margins of victory are so narrow. But according to this poll, the UDF has got an edge. Out of 20 seats, the UDF is going to win 13. That's down 3 since last time. And when you say down 3, you're talking about a 1.5% swing, something like that. And the left, 7%. It's not quite a 1.5%. Let's have a look at the votes. It's about 3%, I think. But the margins are so tiny. So little change can cause, it's a minus 4% for the UDF. The left, 38%, about the same as last time. And the BJP, again making a mark here at 9%. We did see earlier that this was a state where the women still are the highest in the country. They feel the most unsafe. Siddharth, looking at these kind of very narrow victories, and you know, just once it's 7-13, the others 13-6. Do you think it is the mood there in Kerala is a little more in favor of the UDF right now?
I think the problem with the left is twofold, or rather, you can narrow down to one, which is factionalism within the CPM and also within the left front. I think the RSP relationship with the CPM in Kerala, not very good. So I think all of this has probably affected the ability of the left to put up a campaign. Otherwise, normally you do see a sort of reversal. Last time the UDF took the lion's share of seats, there tends to be a back and forth. This time that switch hasn't happened. I think Chandy government's performance also has, while it hasn't, shall we say, been overly dramatic, but it's not been overly negative either. And I think that's worked for the Congress, worked for the UDF.
But Dorab, explain the difficulty of transferring votes into seats in somewhere in a state like Kerala where candidates win by tiny margins of 1%, 2%, then a small swing creates a huge change in seats.
But you see what's happened last time in the assembly and here also, the vote difference quite large, but the seat difference very small. In the assembly last time, the vote difference was 4 or 5%, but the UDF just about made it to 71, 72 seats.
One seat difference.
It really is very, very tight. And I think there's somebody else who's recently split from the LDF.
That's the RSP. Yeah.
So the people are splitting all the time, and I think this Achyutanandan Vijayan problem continues, and I think that is continuing to cause them problems non-stop. And actually, Prannoy, there are a number of questions asked which are not shown in Kerala about performance of chief ministers, leaders, where the Congress leaders seem to do moderately well in terms of people's perceptions of them.
Right, let's, Shekhar, look at the overall picture. And Ram, here's the final picture. We just had Kerala to add into it. And we'll get a comment from Kerala, from Trivandrum, Mr. Radhakrishnan soon. But first, let's have a look at the overall so far. There it is. Look at the bottom line. 543 is the next Lok Sabha. The NDA 229 out of 543. The UPA 129. The Alternative Front 55 and a host of others at 130. I must add the caveat that the small states and union territories at 34 is a fairly large chunk. We have divided it not by a poll but by looking at recent results, assembly by-elections, assembly Vidhan Sabha elections.
These would include Kashmir, Himachal and Uttarakhand as well.
And the northeastern states and Daman and Diu and Goa. But I think there can be a few seats out here and there, but broadly it's 229, and we shall try and look at how, whether it's possible to go from 229 up to 272. That's the key.
The magic number.
But Dora,
what's the BJP's highest ever at 195? Yes. It's never scored 195 in a Lok Sabha election, so it will be the highest ever for the BJP. Sorry, you asked.
Right, I'm going to try and get to the.
But for all the waves, still less than the 206 that the Congress managed in 09.
Yes.
Right.
The Congress has been to 405 once upon a time.
But before we just go on to the overall picture, Mr. Radhakrishnan, how realistic is this poll? Is the UDF, has it still got a slight edge in Kerala? But is it declining?
Well, well, you know, one particular feature about this election is the almost near absence of any particular trend, any particular wave for or against either of the fronts. So normally one would expect the traditional power equations in Kerala to sort of play out again, and which means that, you know, both the fronts would end up with almost equal number of seats, give or take one or two. So these things, you know, the poll almost shows the same kind of situation in Kerala. And one particular point that could be of favor for the UDF is again a kind of Narendra Modi effect in reverse, in the sense that there seems to be a consolidation of minorities in favor of UDF, because Kerala is a state where 45% of the population is composed of minorities. So, you know, that is what the factor, that is a factor which could probably give UDF an edge over the LDF.
What do you see in the trend over the next few days till the elections actually take place? What is the main issue in Kerala, and how's the government going to tackle it, and who's going to, do you think, gain in the next few weeks as the campaign hots up?
Well, now that yesterday the candidates list have been released by both the fronts, and now the most important issue is going to be the plus and minuses of each candidate, and the communal and the caste configurations that actually to play out in various districts, and especially in one or two hill districts of Kerala. One particular problem that UDF is likely to face is a kind of opposition from one of its traditional allies, who are the settler farmers, who are led by the Catholic Church, against the so-called Kasturi Rangan report on the Western Ghats protection.
Yes.
So on that point, the farmers and the churches, are not quite happy with what the Congress has done at the center or in the states. So this could be a problem for them in some of their citadels. Otherwise, there could not be. And the left also has this problem with the political setback caused by the exit of the Revolutionary Socialist Party, ending about 34-year alliance with the left. So not so much in terms of numerically, but the political setback it has caused for the LDF also could be something the left could be worried about.
Very interesting. Now, Ram, I just want your involvement in the overall picture right now. We're trying to look at the final picture. Let's have a look at the final word of this poll overall. If we can have this full screen, we can see the NDA with the BJP at 195, the Shiv Sena at 13, and all its NDA allies coming to 229. We've included the TDP in there as 9. The UPA with the Congress at 106, totaling 129. The Alternative Front at 55, with the left at 18 and the BJD at 17. And here are all the others. Now, which one of these others are going to move to the Congress, to the NDA? What would you suggest? So first, all these small parties, I'm told, will move anytime. Let's have a look at, say, the JMM moving. So that takes them up to 231. Independents, we've looked at those. They will also move, most likely.
The MNS that has said it would move or support
MNS
Mr. Modi
will 100% move. So it's already up to 234. The MIM will not move. The SDF, I think as Shekhar was pointing out earlier, smaller parties just go with the center. A whole lot of others. So we're now up to 243, Ram, and we are short by 29.
Hang on, if the others include NC and so on, may not be that easy
Which
to
one?
do.
National
Sorry,
Conference.
PDP. If PDP, for example, I wonder if PDP would move.
Maybe about 6 of them will go. Right. Now, they still need 29 seats. And if you see in the others, here's the choice. The BSP, wavering, YSR, with TDP there, may not go.
But the ADMK?
The ADMK,
A natural ally?
possible. The
No, ADMK 100%.
100%.
100%. So we move the ADMK.
Natural ally.
No, not TMC.
Sorry.
No. God, let him not see that, Dr. Roy.
Oops, this is getting very complicated. Oops, here we are. So we'll move the ADMK.
That's right. And you're nearly there.
So Ram, do you agree with that the ADMK will either support from the outside or join the government if it's an NDA government?
I think this is quite speculative because these parties have an independent stake, and so far in the campaign both TMC and AIDMK have come out against the BJP. So I think while it is possible, I think the conditionalities here would be very stiff for the BJP. So it's not going to be easy, not like what it was for the Congress last time, where it was almost automatic once they got at 206. So I think it's going to be more difficult. That's the real last mile problem for Modi.
Exactly, that's what you were talking about. Can I ask you about the Mamata Banerjee and the TMC? Would she support from the outside, or would
very
sorry, go ahead.
I think it's difficult because 25% plus of the population of West Bengal is Muslim, and I think it'll mean a huge blow to the credibility of Mamata Banerjee. It's possible again, but that's the fact, that's the obstacle for them right now.
In fact, we have.
But if there were no alternative, they may rationalize it.
Yeah, but let's have a look at the Muslim support in Bengal for Mamata Banerjee. We do have a graphic. We did ask in our opinion poll and the support of the Muslims for all the different parties. And we'll have a quick look if we can bring up the Muslim support, division of the Muslim vote in Bengal in a minute. And you'll see that Mamata Banerjee has got a major base amongst the Muslims in Bengal. So that is a big decision for her to move over to the BJP. Here it comes. Let's have a look. We're trying to get the graphic up, and you'll find that in Bengal, Mamata Banerjee's base with the Muslims, here it is, strong Muslim support. The Congress, 20% of Muslims support them. CPM 27%, and Mamta's Trinamool Congress, 46% of Muslim voters said they would vote for Mamta Banerjee. So Ram, the point you're making is that if that's her kind of base, and if we go back to the overall picture right now, I mean, if she moves to support the Modi government in Delhi, she may lose that huge support base. Let's go back to the overall picture of the forecast. Yes. So that seems unlikely. TRS?
Reasonable to include them.
Yeah.
Doram, you think?
Because why shouldn't he? I mean, there's nobody else there who's supporting. In his state, he's king, and he can easily move.
Right.
TRS will go with anybody who's forming the government.
That's right.
He has no
so
ideological
Ram,
issues.
Correct.
If the TRS
No any
moves,
inconvenience in terms of
It's just
opposing
that
anybody.
in Telangana, there'll be a chunk of Muslim vote.
Yeah.
But I don't think he'll bother that much right now.
And the MIM probably get that.
Yes.
so if the TRS moves,
Or a bulk of that.
so you've got 291, you've crossed the 272 mark. And if they're already talking to the NDA, I think it's probably likely that they'll move. But Shekhar, give us the politics behind this, that you've got Modi can cross to 281, can cross 272, but he's dependent on Jayalalitha. Mamta, I think, with a huge base in Muslims, will find it tough. Although many say that she will join them for the first 2 years and 1 year before the assembly elections walk out. But he doesn't really need them if he gets Jayalalitha. But he's dependent on a lot. This last mile problem that
they may decide to abstain.
Correct,
and they say we can pull them down if they violate the principles of secularism. So you can keep the government in power at the same time pretend to be protectors of secularism. But really, I think what this will do is, and this is something I've maintained for a very long time, since before the BJP came to power the first time, that we are a constitutional state. The basic fabric of this country is liberal and constitutional and secular. So whoever comes to power, India and its democracy will change them more than they are able to change India. And whenever somebody indulges in excess, the immune system does strike back. Indira Gandhi became dictatorial. Whatever her love for socialism, she was defeated. The Janata Party ran a very bad government, a khichdi government. They were punished. So people will react to any excess. I think the need for new partners itself will exercise a moderating influence on the BJP element in the new NDA, as much as they had done the last time. Frankly, last time Mr. Vajpayee was there as well. So the test really lies for Narendra Modi. How does he adjust? What kind of peace does he make with this new set of facts?
Right. Ram, if I can ask you, you're saying this last mile problem, but it looks as though with not too much effort, he can cross the 272 mark and get to 281, but he will be dependent on Jayalalitha, he will be dependent on a host of smaller other parties and the TRS as well. What kind of politics do you see that emerging?
Yes,
do you think they'll keep a check on him, as Shekhar was saying?
I think they'll be functioning under severe constraints because of that last mile problem. But I wish I could share Shekhar's robust optimism that somehow Indian democracy, or what is India, will find the balances, the checks and balances, or the corrective mechanisms or processes. So I think I wish I could share that.
Ram, you will be there.
Much more difficult with Prime Minister like Modi.
Ram, we are counting on you to be there.
You know, Prannoy, the problem really, in terms of the kind of policies or the kind of government Modi will run, is that he will have an economic agenda which will probably attract wider support than merely those parties who are part of his coalition, who are backing or who are going to back the NDA from within or without. The problem will arise with the agenda which is pursued below the radar. So, for example, you know, the kind of stuff we saw during Vajpayee's government the last time, the revision of textbooks, the filling of RSS fellows in different, branches of government. It's that kind of subterranean, below the radar activity which probably the RSS or, hardline elements within the BJP will try to push, even as the overall government takes, pursues a different tack. And I think, Shekhar is being optimistic, I think, about the...
Let's ask Sudhendra. Sudhendra, it's now clear that if the NDA gets 229, with the help of Jayalalitha and some smaller parties, crossing 272 for Narendra Modi is very feasible. It's not an ideal situation because he still has to work with these allies. How many of them? 52 of them, 52 seats. How will his politics have to change? And how will are you on the side of Shekhar, who says India has a way of controlling any extremist tendencies? Or do you think nothing will change even with this? But it looks as though the 272 mark can be crossed.
Well, having said that, Prannoy, let me add that institutions will be tested.
Institutions will be tested?
They will be tested, including the media, including us, thieves and corporate whatever in the media.
Right. So we're talking about 281 and 272 is the halfway mark. And allies which are not that extreme, they're pretty, they are already more or less accept they would join, with the AIDMK saying they're joining, the TRS no problem, the MNS said they'll join, independents. None of them really have any major clout, except Jayalalitha will have huge clout. Sorry, so I interrupted you, Sudhendra. Give us the politics of a scene like this.
Yeah, it's very clear that the next government is going to be a BJP-led government of the NDA, because the sheer gap between the NDA and the UPA is so large, there is simply no other formation likely. There is no third front, no fourth front. So it's going to be an NDA government led by the BJP and most likely by Narendra Modi. Right. The real test is whether this government will last 5 years. See, BJP may even cross the 2000, the 1998 and 1999 mark of 182 seats, may do better. But it was Vajpayeeji's consensus building, alliance building, coalition running skills that ensured that between 1999 and 2004, he ran a fairly smooth government with so many allies. This is the skill that the new Prime Minister will have to exhibit. More important is that the BJP, if it wants to be a party of governance in India, it has to give up. It simply has to give up its Hindutva agenda. It has to become secular. In this sense, I agree with Shekhar that in the idea of India, the democratic, the constitutional order of India will force any government, any party not to deviate. If it deviates, it will be out.
But Ram, you don't share that optimism. You don't feel the idea of India is all powerful and cannot be. I mean, we saw the emergency as well, right? But we did see the return of democracy after that.
Yes,
yeah. So let's say Ram.
Well, India will certainly go on, but the question is, what kind of strains will our institutions experience during this period? Because the RSS and to a large extent the BJP are highly ideologically driven, and this business of Vikas Purush being fair to everybody is just posturing. The underlying program is surely going to be Hindutva. Otherwise, why have they done all this? They're not going to spend another 2, 3, 5 years just being another variant of the Congress. So I don't think I would expect the
I think Ram's concerns by and large are genuine, but I would only say that the best protector of India's democracy is India's diversity. It's very difficult to run India either through Hindutva or through any other single ideology that is not inclusive.
Prannoy,
it's impossible.
If I could suggest another fault line,
right?
It's my sense that whatever Mr. Modi's personal predilections may be, and whatever the gut level interest or inclination of the RSS may be, Mr. Modi is being backed and being propelled by the most powerful companies in this country. There is a sense in which the corporate sector is 100% behind him. What do they expect from him? What they expect is, like, why is Adani's share price, there was a piece on the FT, the reason his share price has shot up is because everybody expects the Mundra environmental clearances, which were not coming until now, that all of that is going to flow. So there is a sense in which Mr. Modi is going to deliver things that the corporate sector wants. I'm not going into the merits of each and every case, but environmental
did not deliver.
No, 1 second. Yeah, I mean, they didn't deliver for a variety of reasons. I mean, partly also to do with the genuineness of, let's say, environmental concerns. So if he is going to step on the gas pedal and ride roughshod over environmental concerns, over the consent that is required of communities that may be displaced from projects, you may have a different kind of fault line. And my sense is that his priority, and the priority of those backing him, is to see progress on that corporate or economic front, rather than getting diverted with a Hindutva agenda up front. Of course, under the radar, the Hindutva agenda in terms of, influencing the culture and textbooks and education of this country, all of that will carry on.
But the interesting point is that you say this fault line of big business supporting him and decisions and projects going ahead as a kind of negative thing, but the rest of India and the world are just looking at that as an antidote to the lack of...
It depends what it comes bundled with. Right? If it means violation of environmental protection standards.
If it doesn't?
Right? If it doesn't, fine. But I mean, I'm saying that you look at the way in which many of these, for example, decisions that the current PMO has taken in the last 6 months. There was a story in the press the other day about how the PMO itself wants these environmental norms to be set aside. So there is a sense in which the big business wants to cut corners, wants to have a shortcut. And this is essentially something that Modi
what's your sense?
Not disagreeing with you, but just adding to this. Suppose it does this. Suppose he rides roughshod over genuine environmental concerns or resettlement concerns or people's rights. That is when courts, the activists and the media come in. That's what I mean when I say institutions will be tested. Because why do you have institutions in a democracy? You have them to protect you from majoritarian excess. Otherwise, you don't need
Let me ask Sudhendra. Sudhendra, this dual role that you've got growth, you've got investment, you've got... somebody told me there's so much money waiting to come in if Mr. Modi come into India from abroad and invest in India. That on one front, but underneath the Hindutva agenda, or is Hindutva going to be forgotten?
No, India needs stability. There's no question about it. The people want a stable government. And let's understand that the BJP has had some experience, very rich experience of governing at the center, and that is the Vajpayee model. If the BJP adopts the Vajpayee model, even with Narendra Modi as Prime Minister, then stability is going to be more assured. The sheer pressure of being in power will make the BJP and also the Prime Minister change their worldview, even if they don't completely believe in it. That is, you see, one very important factor which we must bring into this debate is that the Muslims are so disillusioned with so-called secular parties. They are in fact waiting to be reached out to by the BJP, but the BJP is not doing so. If only there is a new understanding based on principle, based on justice, based on secularism, a new equation between the BJP and the Muslims, the BJP will be a far more stable party. It will grow both socially and geographically and also provide a stable government and a good government.
So you're saying that it should drop the Hindutva agenda and reach out. But Dorab, we've seen in other spheres of life, the voters pushing politicians. We've seen Bijli Sarak Pani. You don't deliver on development, you're out. Those who deliver are voted back. Can the same issue arise as a check and balance on the Hindutva faction in the BJP? That the voters say, if you do that, you'll be out next time.
Well, I think, just the way Mr. Vajpayee held back the RSS because he felt that some of their desires and actions stopped progress. He reached out to the others, and I think that is what will have to be done. And I think once there is progress, I think, most Indian governments, except for very few, have been moderated because of the coalition dharma which they're forced with. Somebody or the other will act up and say, sorry, you can't take this through, and you got to take 24 guys together or whatever it is. You will have to moderate your instincts.
Prannoy, in 2014, there is no vote in India for beating up anybody. You go to the voters in India, even great BJP supporters, and say, give me your vote so I can go and beat up the Muslims. I think most people say, go take a walk. Because India has seen growth for more than 10 years now. People's lives are settling down. People are competing. They want better lives for their children, schools, education, health, hospitals. They don't want to get back to rioting and killing. India is a much less. India is a much less insecure country than it used to be.
But you remember that all India question, which is what's your biggest worry if Rahul Gandhi comes, if Modi comes? And with Rahul Gandhi, everybody said more corruption and indecision. And with Modi, the voters said we are worried about Hindu-Muslim tension.
So what does it tell you about the voters in India? That they will not tolerate anything that divides people for the sake of politics or whatever. So if something like that is done, there will be an immediate reaction, not just from institutions, but also from people, but also, I don't want to be misunderstood, but coming to Delhi in a position of power, it moderates people. I mean, it may not have kept Mr. Devgowda awake for too long on the job, but the fact is that Chidambaram's dream budget was presented by his government, and it was a government that had for the first time in India's history, 2 members from the CPI.
But also one more thing, something that stops people riding roughshod over laws, etc., is the sheer activism of the courts over the last decade. I mean, you can't. Somebody said to me the other day that Jagan Mohan Reddy, if he gets to the cabinet, charge will be dropped. But now it's very often outside the politician's hands.
Right.
In the old days, he could do you a favor by going easy. But now the courts are sitting on your head. So I think they will also ensure that anything that's just way out of our rules is moderated by the courts.
So Ram, everybody seems to be very optimistic about the system, the institutions, the people, the voters changing. Even somebody like Mr. Modi, that he will have to reach out. Is that more out of hope, or is that, do you subscribe to that?
No, I don't, because the BJP cannot change its spots. The program, the strategy is very clear. So there are tactical adjustments. There could be some changes, but I think the justification, the rationale for their getting into power would be to promote the ideology and program of Hindutva. There's no question of their compromising on it, because their rank and file, their activists would not tolerate it for too long. So I'm afraid I cannot share, especially Shekhar's kind of optimism on this.
But Shekhar's saying that actually the voters are not voting for that right now. In fact, that's not a major issue in Mr. Modi's campaigning. So they're sending a message that we want growth, decisions, and we do not want violence and riots. Won't that message get across, especially when you don't have a dominant majority and you have to rely on allies and reach out to them as well?
Yes, there may be some moderating influences, Prannoy, but the strong program of majoritarianism, of communal politics, of hate politics, surely that will get through, that will get reflected or expressed in the activities of this government. That will put tremendous pressure internally, and that's why Sudhendra raised the question of how long would they go on. So you're really assuming far too much when you attribute a kind of automatic self-correction mechanism to the Indian polity, and secondly to the people themselves, because the people could go wrong in their choice, in their perception, or they may feel they have no alternative to this.
This is the key question.
I think don't forget
mistakes.
That
voters include.
Right.
That a significant chunk. I mean, you have perhaps new voters who are coming to the BJP, attracted by this perception that Mr. Modi will take various economic decisions, right? But there is a hardcore BJP support base, which essentially admires Mr. Modi not because of any development agenda, but because of what he represents in their mind on the sort of in terms of communal politics, and that's reflected in his studied something so simple as being able to express genuine remorse. Not that I think it's possible for him, but for the 2002 massacres, it's something that he's not able to do, and he knows that the way to display what his core supporters would consider weakness, this will compromise him in some way.
Well, I'll agree with that, but at the same time, I'd say that his core supporters will vote for him nevertheless. What matters to him is the new voters who are coming, and really, we should not be so unkind to our society as to even miss the evolutionary change that has happened. No, now, communities are symbiotically linked. If he goes to Varanasi, he will realize that there is no economics in Varanasi unless Muslim weavers and Hindu traders work together.
Right.
That's the riots in Varanasi don't last more than 24 hours now.
Bring in Sudhendra here, who knows the BJP inside out, and give you the final words, Sudhendra. You seem to want the BJP to reach out, to go beyond the Hindutva agenda, which they haven't used during the campaign. You want them to. The question that there's a difference here in the panel between Ram and Shekhar is that will he do that? And if you say if he doesn't do that, it won't last 5 years.
If he doesn't do that, he will fail.
He will fail. And so will he do it? Will he recognize it and change? Will the system, will India change him such that Hindutva will be put in the background and he will last 5 years? Is it just wishful thinking on your part?
I can put my neck on the line and say, and I do also believe that he's too clever not to see this. He's clever, he will change.
Sudhendra.
You know, democracy is much bigger than any particular leader. You know, it was very starkly seen, it was bigger than even Indira Gandhi. So, I have full faith in India's democracy, our constitutional order, which will put brakes on any party, any coalition and any leader. And this is where the point I made yesterday in the context of Bihar. You see, the coalition is not to be seen purely in arithmetic numbers. NDA was an ideological evolution of the BJP. It was, by forming the NDA, the BJP became a secular formation. Therefore, the new NDA will have to be secular. How Narendra Modi and other leaders of the BJP move towards that goal is yet to be seen. But if they don't do it, then the next government is going to be unstable, short-lived. Whereas India wants a stable government, India wants to grow rapidly in an inclusive development mode. But, there's a huge responsibility on the BJP leadership right now.
Right. I think that's very well put. And what you're saying is that the BJP will get the message from the voters that if it wants to last, it has to be inclusive like Mr. Vajpayee was. Well, thank you all very much. This debate can go on and on. We just leave you with the final numbers. 229 for the NDA. It needs another 229 plus to get to 272, and 43. It can get there quite easily.
43.
It needed 43. It can get another 52. It can get to 281. So for Narendra Modi to be the next Prime Minister seems most likely, but he will be dependent on Jayalalitha, JMM, TRS and the MNS and a few others, which according to Shekhar and Siddharth and Dorab will keep a check on him. But Ram still remains a little skeptical.
But Ram will be there to keep a check on him as well.
And that's a major point that you make. That
yes, absolutely.
The institutions will be tested.
I mean this seriously. I'm not.
Of course. Yeah.
I mean, it's a challenge for all institutions.
Right. Okay, Ram, thanks very much. Do you want one last word on anything?
No, I think that's fine.
That more or less sums it up, yeah.
The only thing, Prannoy, I thought is the national, the numbers may come right, but when you break it, the seat projections for the states are obviously less robust, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Because you would know better than most people. You're a pioneer of.
No, what we have tried to do.
Breakdown for particular states would be far less.
Absolutely right. What we have tried to do this time is to make sure that each state of the 19 states that we've covered has a error margin of plus or minus 2%, which we've not done before. But let's see the final result. Anyway, we are going to do another poll and another show like this in about 3 weeks to time, where the recent trends will also be taken into account, and then another poll after that. So right up to May the 16th, we'll keep tracking what's happening in this election. So don't go away. Things are going to change. This is India and it's democracy, and anything can happen. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.